Are you about to start on a research project, or perhaps thinking of how to start one? The challenge really isn't about finding data, it's everywhere. But what do you choose? How can you find meaningful data for conservation research? In this video, I'll talk about 3 things for you to get the data you need. Let's go! Hey guys, it's Diana from Beneath Art. If you're new here, welcome. Researching really isn't a skill set that comes naturally, and neither are those hours consolidating paint going to make me a researcher. And one thing's for sure, signing up for a PhD program doesn't automatically make you a researcher either. Researching does. The goal here is really not to become a researcher, but to understand what good research is, so that it can improve the way you understand things and make better decisions. It's something you can learn, and if you've already done so, it's something that we have to continue learning and improving. So, what does research mean? The moment you Google where are the best burgers in town, you're already researching. Researching is really a way of thinking, and this is something that can be applied in our bench work as well. The key difference really lies in being a researcher and doing good research. I might be a little late to the research game, but it only means that we've got more tools to play with. So before you start thinking, hang on, wasn't this a video supposed to be about meaningful data? Why are we talking about what is good research? When we first started thinking about creating a video series on how we can use data analytic tools in conservation, we realized that we first have to talk a little bit about where we can find data and how we can identify suitable data. There might be a couple of thoughts going off right now like, this seems pretty basic, or this is intuitive thing to start off with, but trust me, since data can be found basically everywhere, which might sound like good news until you get lost in it. So, step 1, framing your research question. This is the foundation of all data collection processes. It helps to filter the type of information you will want to look out for and to collect. And this is not a concrete process, and you have to remember that. You might find yourself revisiting the question during the data collection phase, and it's completely okay. Like, that's part of the whole research process. As technical research often involves integrating past and present information, getting information that is relevant will not only help you get your answers, it will be answered with clarity. Take for instance, is this artwork safe for travel? You might want to understand the current condition of the artwork, so you might go off searching for data on its current environment, its proposed environment. Are there any historical travel records? What is its physical condition now? And so on. Taking a cross-section of the painting in this point really might not be a priority. And in this case, you might engage in administrative data or historical data to get to your answer. In step 2, where can you find data? Before you find meaningful data, we first have to start with knowing what counts as data. One of the most common forms of data you might encounter might be from digital data loggers used to collect environmental readings. Most of these datasets are then presented in numerics, and they are saved as CSV files, allowing export into Excel to analyze or create pivot graphs. Another type of data you might be familiar with is from material analysis. Information about the material is then presented as spectrums or charts and requiring an expert interpretation of the data. While this sciencey part is often the crux of most research projects, it doesn't necessarily give you all the data you need, such as what the artist did and so on. So from these 2 short examples, you can see that data can be presented in various ways and may require the help of an expert for interpretation. Now, I want to draw your focus to data embodied in works of art, cultural objects, and tangible heritage. For this, I'm going to talk about my research in easel paintings, but I'm pretty sure anyone can draw some links from it. How do you turn something so visual and tangible into data that can be read, computed, and analyzed? How can the data you collect be used to draw relational links within a group of objects? So when I was planning my research, collect primary data from paintings was my identified methodology. And to be honest, at first it seemed like a pretty straightforward thing to embark on. I remember thinking, I've looked at hundreds of paintings, I've filled up countless condition reports over the past 10 years. That's thousands of fields of data, shouldn't be too hard. But guess what? Whatever data I collected on my first pilot fieldwork trip was just not enough to tell the story about a painting, let alone understand the values embodied in it. So data collection is not an instinctive process, and it can't be. While having a research question can be a useful start, there are risks from collecting too little or just collecting too much. You will find data everywhere, but you might also miss out some data points. There are many ways to uncover and understand embodied values. For my research and in simplistic terms, I want to break down this entire visual object into fields of text, which I can then draw links and analyze from. This means that it has to be a very structured process. The descriptor words used have to be precise and limited. For instance, the primary support of a painting is not just canvas, but it has to be broken down into multiple fields. Fiber identification, thread counts, any manufacturing stamps, what color is it, how open is the weave, and then the format and consistency of my input. Is it recorded in mm or cm? Is it brown, creamy white, beige, and so on? Now, if you plan to draw cross-analysis between multiple artworks, like in the case of artist attribution studies, structure and consistency to the data record is super important, and I can't emphasize that enough. The quality of data you choose to collect shares a direct relation with the quality and depth of insights that you can gain. Step 3. Having a pilot study. One of the key things I've learned is to have a period of pilot fieldwork study to test out your data collection model, its effectiveness, and its potential for improvements. I suggest doing about 25% of what you plan to collect to really get the hang of it and to test out what you've planned. Having a research question or a hypothesis may seem like a failsafe. However, not all research questions have the potential for depth, and perhaps you might have missed something you forgot. So this leads me to the next point. Don't be too fussed with deciding on the database platform at this stage. Excel or Word document is a good start, but keep in mind that Excel is not a database for a research project despite its search and filter functions, and we'll come to this in another video. We hope this video has given your mind something to think about in getting the meaningful data you'll need for your research project. Go on and click the thumbs up button below to let us know you're liking the content, and if you're new here, hit subscribe to keep updated whenever we post a new video. Follow us on Instagram at beneath.art, and we'll see you in the next video.